Yes, but where is the sign of the movement today?
I believe that we are at the point now in the United States where a movement is beginning to emerge. I think that the calamity, the quagmire of the Iraq War, the outsourcing of jobs, the dropout of young people from the educational system, the monstrous growth of the prison-industrial complex, the planetary emergency in which we are engulfed at the present moment, is demanding that instead of just complaining about these things, instead of just protesting about these things, we begin to look for and hope for another way of living. And I think that that's when the movement, I see a movement beginning to emerge because I see hope beginning to trump despair.
Where do you see the signs of it?
I see the signs in the various small groups that are emerging all over the place to try and regain our humanity in very practical ways. For example, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Will Allen, who is a former basketball player, has purchased a 2.5-acre land with 5 greenhouses on it, and he is beginning to grow food, healthy food, for his community. And communities are growing up around that idea. I mean, that's a huge change in the way that we think of the city. I mean, the things that we have to restore are so elemental. Not just food, and not just healthy food, but a different way of relating to time and history and to the earth.
And a garden does that for you?
Yes. A garden does all sorts of things. It helps young people to relate to the earth in a different way. It helps them to relate to their elders in a different way. It helps them to think of time in a different way.
How so?
Well, if you just press a button and you think that's the key to reality, you're in a hell of a mess as a human being. That's where this is going beyond capitalism.
So it is that this woman who marched and agitated and argued in mass movements and social protests for over 70 years has come full circle to find seeds of hope in small places where people work quietly and patiently on every imaginable front.
We work on trying to change policies for homeless people.
I think information is power.
They get little public attention, although they're concerned with the most basic human needs.
We want jobs that actually empower us, and make it so that you actually have a say in what happens at your workplace.
These days, Boggs works through what's known as the Beloved Community Initiative to encourage people like this in cities across the country to see themselves as crucial to how democracy works and for whom. You didn't have to come here this past weekend. You're 91 years old. Why did you come?
Because I think the initiative that I am part of, the Beloved Communities Initiative, is identifying and helping to bring together small groups who are making this cultural revolution that we so urgently need in our country. And I see this as part of a pilgrimage which human beings have been embarked on for thousands and tens of thousands of years. People think of evolution mainly in terms of anatomical changes. I think that we have to think of evolution in terms of very elemental human changes. And so we're evolving, both through our knowledge and through our experiences, to another stage of humankind. So revolution and evolution are no longer so separate.
But the economic system doesn't reflect this evolution. Outsourcing of jobs, the flight of capital, the power of capital over workers, all of that the system isn't catching up with this.
Well, you don't expect the system to catch up. I mean, the system's part of the system. What I think is that not since the 30s have the American people, the ordinary American, face such uncertainty with regard to the economic system. In the 30s, what we did was we confronted management, and we were able thereby to gain many advantages, particularly to gain a respect for the dignity of labor. That's no longer possible today because of the ability of corporations to fly all over the place and begin setting up and so all this outsourcing. So we're going to have, people are finding other ways to regain control over the ways they make their living.
You know, a lot of young people out there would agree with your analysis, with your diagnosis, and then they will say, what can I do that's practical? How do I make the difference that Grace Lee Boggs is talking about? What would you be doing?
I would say do something local. Do something real, however small, and don't diss the political things, but understand their limitations.
Don't diss them?
Disrespect them.
Disrespect them?
But understand their limitations. I mean, politics, there was a time when we believed that if we just achieved political power, we would solve all our problems. And I think what we've learned through the experiences of the Russian Revolution, all those revolutions, that those who try to get power in the state become part of the state. They become locked into the practices. And we have to begin creating new practices.
What will it take for this next round of change that you see as promising? What would it take?
It takes discussions like this. I mean, it takes a whole lot of things. It takes people doing things. It takes people talking about things. It takes dialogue. It takes change in a whole lot of ways by which we think.
Do you see any leaders who are advocating that change? I mean, people that we would all recognize, anybody we'd all recognize?
I don't see any leaders, and I think we have to rethink the concept of leader, because leader implies follower, and so many, not so many, but I think we need to embrace the idea that we are the leaders we've been looking for.
Grace Lee Boggs, thank you very much.